Hey, welcome to the Black Millennial Mom Podcast, Season 2. Each episode can get a tad bit spicy, so if you got some little ones around, this is a really good time for you to slide on those headphones and enjoy the episode of the Black Millennial Mom Podcast. Being a parent is extremely difficult, and this season is really focusing on parents who are dealing with professions that could be extremely stressful, from the things that they see to the things that they're dealing with 24/7. To come home, be a parent of a younger child does not seem easy. So I felt like it would be necessary to start it off with some beautiful nurses that I know that have came in to kind of help me and help you as well understand the journey of parenting in that field specifically. To my left, starting over there, I got my girl Ashley stepping in. Also got my girl Brittany right here in the red. This is a serious situation. You guys are parents. You guys have been doing this nursing field for a very long time and holding it down. You got to talk to me. Ashley, we'll start with you. What the first experience was like getting into nursing with a young child?
Man, I mean, for my first experience, I worked in long-term care. My daughter was barely 1, maybe 2.
Ooh.
And it was crazy. It was insanity. I mean, I worked night shift, got off work, came home, stayed up with her, went to sleep for 2 hours, and went back and did it again. It was grind time.
And a lot of people don't know that part. As far as in nursing, like everyone sees the check.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait, I'm gonna get some money. Like this is where the field is at. But they don't realize getting into this, like how much time it takes away from you. Was yours like that too, Brittany? Like going through your experience?
It was somewhat like that. I was also working too, part-time, but school itself is full-time. So when you go to nursing school, it's not like any other regular university. It's basically 9 hours a day and then 12-hour clinicals.
Ooh.
So it's a full-time job in itself. So doing that and having a part-time job and raising kids is tough.
Yeah, and a lot of times we talk about this show having the village, having the support. Oh, you got to have a village to raise a child, which I totally agree. But you guys have chose fields where it takes a whole lot of your village to step in and come help. Talk to me about how many times you guys had to hop on phone calls to call this friend or this family member. Like, what did that look like?
Every day.
Every day?
I mean, I ended up moving back home with my mom when I was in nursing school.
Really?
I moved out at 17, moved back home at 22, and because I couldn't go to school, go to work, make sure my baby was good. I went back home and I sucked it up. Me and my daughter stayed at my mom's house in a 1-bedroom, girl.
Wow.
And we rocked it out. I mean, it has absolutely paid off, but we were struggling for a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Britt, was yours similar to like that, like having to call on a lot of people?
No, I fortunately at the time was married, so I had a partner who helped me a lot. And also, but he did work, so I had to depend on daycare, which wasn't ideal. You know, you don't want to put your kids in daycare, but so I had to make those sacrifices. And yeah, my partner at the time helped out a lot.
Yeah.
But I guess the reverse in that would be it made me. The bond with me and my kids it wasn't there because I was always gone, you know. I was working and then school, and so they developed that bond with their dad.
Right.
That I wish I could get back, but you know, those are the sacrifices you have to make.
Do you guys feel like that it's worth it now? When you look back at it and we talk about sacrifices during such a hard time, do you feel like it was worth the sacrifice to where you are now?
100%. I mean, my kids, I feel the same way as Brittany. Like, I wish that I would have been more present in that time. But my kids are living their best lives right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever they asked for, they got. And, you know, my kids and her kids are friends. Like, these kids live a life of fun, you know. We tired at the end of the day.
That's really a positive note on that, too, because I know I suffer a lot from mom guilt in my current. I'm working 3 jobs at one time, and the bond of a 2-3-year-old son, it's like, gravitating obviously to his father, but it's like, wait a minute, what about me? And how do you, like, I guess throughout the years, if you've seen yourself overcoming your profession, it has to bring back that sense of like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. But it took some years, right, to even get to that point?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm still getting to that point.
I would say I'm still working on building our bond together because, like I said, that bond with their dad, they got that with him because they were so young, and you know, at that time they need a lot of nurturing, and So I'm still working on that. I do have a lot more time now because of the sacrifices that I made. And like I said, and like she said, those kids are spoiled now. Like, so it is worth it. And I just being able to give that to my kids and is what makes me sleep better at night.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that when you get into a field like your guys' profession, there's a lot of things that are being seen. You guys are coming off 12-hour shifts. You dealt and seen a lot of things, and to come home and be a parent. What is that dynamic like for you guys? I know you guys have got some stories of, like, as a parent, to see even, as a nurse, young kids being sick and things that are happening. How does that make you feel as a mom?
I feel like my biggest experience was recently with COVID. And so, when COVID first came out, we were horrified.
Yeah.
I had to, like, my kids went with their dad.
Yeah.
And because I was afraid to bring COVID home, and I'm at work watching people die left and right, within 24 hours of being diagnosed. So, you don't see your kid because you don't want to get them sick, and then you want to see your kids because you miss them.
That's gotta be so hard. Like, I couldn't even imagine saying, okay, you're gonna have to stay with your dad for some time, and I'm not gonna see you. I'm really not gonna be around you, especially when in the young stage. Like, that's scary.
Yeah, it makes you very overprotective. I'm constantly worried, like, oh, what if my kid gets this, or what if my mom gets that? Or, I'm always in protection mode and, like, overthinking, like, oh, did they cough too hard, or are they bleeding too much?
Right.
Like, it definitely makes you overthink and makes you a little more worried.
Do you feel like your mental health got tested during that time?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like my mental health is still
daily being tested.
I'll never forget it. Yeah, it was life-changing.
Wow.
To this day, it's life-changing. Like, we learned that something small as a cold or a cough could whisk everything away in a matter of seconds. And,
right.
Family weren't able to come see their families, and it was just chaos, crazy. So we recovering though.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming clearly for y'all. What was yours?
Mine was when I first got out of school. I worked in Denver Health.
Okay.
In the med surg unit, and
oh, that's a unit.
Oh yeah.
That's actually very scary.
Yeah, and so I actually had a patient who coded during my shift, and
wow.
having to do the CPR, and she actually died, but just going through that whole experience is it shifted things for me, and it was hard because then that reality sets in, and actually seeing death, and she was young too, so it took a toll on me, and it messed with my mental health for a little bit. It made me not want to be out in the field, so I kind of took the back seat, like went back in the.
Really? Was that was that the moment?
That was the moment, yeah. That was working there at Denver Health was the moment for me when I realized, like, this isn't really for me, because it just I take those things and internalize them. So
I'm that kind of person.
Yeah, so it was hard for me. And then having to, be a mom and
be a parent.
It just, for me, that's when I knew, like, and that's the great thing about nursing, is that you can be in so many different avenues. You don't have to necessarily be in patient care and be, hands-on. You can always be in the legal field. You can take the back seat in the business side of it. And so that's when I knew that, like, for me, I think it's best for me to head that route.
You both had two really big experiences, a COVID situation and then someone unfortunately passing under your watch. I personally don't even know how you both dealt with that. And hearing your situation is extremely touching. Going back into the house, because I'm sure you went home, how do you deal with that with your family the next day?
You start like thinking about what you could have did different, and like, is it your fault, or it just, for a minute there, I was not myself, and like I said, I had a partner at the time, so he was very helpful. Like I said, he had to step in all those times where I had to fall, where I fell short. So I was thankful for that. and I do have a good support system, like good family and friends and stuff. So I was able to bounce back, but that was the turning point for me.
And Ashley, how long did you go with your child being at Dad's house while you're dealing with COVID patients?
I want to say initially it was a good 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, because I was terrified. I mean, we couldn't wear the same clothes home. We couldn't wear the same shoes home. I mean, I would sneak over there every now and then.
Yeah, try to honk.
And, you know, think that I was being safe. But, it was a good couple weeks.
That's a lot. That's heavy. Yeah. I want to kind of talk about your guys' job, if you don't mind, and relationships. Because, again, these are things that people don't know. It's difficult. It's not the easiest to balance relationships, being a parent, even getting into new relationships in your guys' field. Now, of course, both of you have elevated in your game and where you guys currently stand, honey. But in the midst of the grind, in the beginnings where you're in the field pretty heavy like that, what is that like trying to be in a relationship and do your thing? You know what I'm talking about?
There isn't any. It's non-existent? It's non-existent.
Well, y'all didn't play doctor or nothing?
I mean,
I'm just saying, like.
Well, so, I mean, again, when I first started, I was already in a relationship, but I can only imagine dating during that time. It wouldn't have happened. Like, I wouldn't have had time.
Did you have time to date your husband?
I didn't have time to date myself. Like, you just don't have time. And I think I'm newly single now, and being in the dating field now, I see that, you know, a lot of people expect and demand time.
Right.
And
I don't have it.
And
it's not there.
No go over here.
It's like, so I'm like, I don't know.
Ash, how was it for you?
It's still a struggle because, you know, I'm back in school. Yeah. So I'm working 2 jobs. I'm exploring a new career within nursing. And so I hear a lot. He's like, you don't have time for me? You're always tired. And I am always tired.
Actually, I am.
Okay, every day I'm tired. So it's hard. I mean, but I feel like we're making time. We're going on vacation. And even then, I'm working on vacation, right?
Right.
So it's difficult. It's hard to date and give somebody your time when you're mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. You get home, you're thinking about what happened at work that day. It's tough, but like I said, I believe it's temporary, and later.
You got tough skin, thick skin, to be able to do what you ladies do and what you went through. I know that you've probably seen others in your career field maybe not make it as far as you guys have because of that level of stress. I guess for me, when you're talking about other women trying to get into this industry and, you know, or men looking to get into it, what would you say would be the first thing that you would tell them to just keep in mind, especially if they're trying to have a family, they're trying to balance a relationship? These are key moments for them that they should be aware, because it's not just about the money. They're saving lives and you're a part of their lives for a long time. So what would you give as far as an advice?
I would say a couple things. You know, be patient, know that it's not easy. Always give yourself grace. And just you have to remind yourself you did whatever was best for you and for that patient in that moment.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like you were saying, like you go back and you think that you should have done things differently. You did what you could have done in that moment. And just know, like, all those hard times and all the stress is temporary. Like you're gonna come out on top at the end. Just keep pushing. Don't give up. You started for a reason.
Smart. What would you think?
I would say that. Like when you start off in nursing school, it really is a sacrifice. And so until you're really ready, I wouldn't start it until you know, like, you're ready and you're willing to put things aside temporarily for the moment, because it is very stressful and you have breakdowns and it gets tough, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's very temporary, and the hard work pays off. But just know that those sacrifice, like, it's gonna be a sacrifice. It's not easy.
Always.
But nothing is easy. So I feel like if it's something that it's on your mind and you really want to do it, I think go for it and go all in.
You ladies both mentioned the sacrifice portion of it, and I kind of want to circle back on what you see going in. You see so many people getting into the nursing field. How many of those, if you could just think like percentage-wise, ladies that you saw coming in and schooling and stuff like that, how many of them really stuck with it? I've never really asked that question to a nurse before, but I feel like that's really a good question. When they actually go through it, how many of them are really sticking in it? Do you still know the same people you was in school with? Are they still?
Oh yeah, I still know the same people because you like build this bond.
It's a community.
It is, but they tell you that in the beginning of nursing school. They say on the day of my orientation day, I remember, they're like, well, look around and see all these people. It's going to be probably half the people here that are going to get.
Really? They prep you like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's definitely half.
Oh yeah. It's probably going to be half, if that. That you will see at the end.
Wow.
And they didn't lie. They were dropping off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why I say when you're ready to do that, be ready to do it because it's tough. And so you have a lot of people who will come in and think it's fun, like, oh, I'm starting school, and
I'm about to get paid.
Yeah, and it's like, and I feel like if you don't have like like something to motivate you, because my kids motivated me.
Yeah.
And I would see like young girls get in that didn't really have like kids or anything. So the motivation to finish wasn't there.
Right.
Or,
they didn't have that backbone to be like, I got to get this done. This is for my kid's life.
Yeah.
This is going to pay for that college tuition.
Yeah. So I have a young friend actually that I was in nursing school with. She did fall out, but it was because she was young and I felt like she wasn't ready for school.
Right.
And she was like pushed to do it by her parents.
And that makes a good point. It's almost like what you guys are saying is that your children were your motivation to get it done.
Yeah.
Versus a person who's coming in with no kids, you get what I'm saying? That situation looks different. But you guys almost saw the end game at very young ages that most of us with no kids would be like, I'm gonna get out or I'm gonna find something else to do. So your determination and the way you guys were motivated looked differently from the very beginning getting into the field, which is really important to know. Let's talk about, we talked about the struggles in the beginnings, but let's talk about where you ladies are at now, because now you've definitely risen to the tops, if you will. Ashley, I'll start with you. Tell them where you're at now and what you do.
So now I am actually just getting started in cosmetic injecting.
Which is a big deal.
Man.
That's a huge deal.
It is. I've been wanting to do it for so long.
Right.
And it's such a different setting. It's happy. Everybody's happy. They want to be there.
Right.
Versus in a, long-term care hospital setting, they want to go home.
Right. They don't even want to see you.
So I'm living my best life. Like I wake up, I'm happy to go to work. I'm happy to make people feel good.
Do you feel like you did a 360 almost from like what it was to now?
100%. It's a whole different ballgame. Like I said, people are happy and people are happy to see you.
Right.
Versus them being there in a bad situation. So I went from sitting in my car like, God, I gotta go in here again. Like,
right.
To go, I'd be running in the door like, hey,
good morning,
everybody. Brittany came to see me there, so she saw me in the element. So it's a different world, and I feel like I'm at peace with my career at this point. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing something that I wanted to do.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And of course, we gotta get into you. What are you doing now, and what does that look like?
So I own a home health agency now.
All you?
Yeah.
Started it, built by you. I love
Started it back in 2018.
Okay, so it's been running for some years now.
Yeah, and it actually did really good in COVID.
Yeah.
So, so all that hard work and sasacrifices, it paid off because, now I got a lot more time.
The time is back. You got the time.
I got the time back. I'm flexible, with my work and home life. I have a good balance with that, and I can be at every game with my kids.
Right.
I can, go on vacations and stuff. So it's good now.
And to be able to be an owner of it, I'm sure is, any kind of business, no matter what you start, is not easy. Oh. And people don't talk about that. So even though I'm glad to hear that you are great now, starting a business on your own is not easy.
No, it's not.
But you've been able to make it to this point. I mean, in your beginnings, did it still feel better than what you were doing? And
no.
So it felt the same?
So in the beginning, it was blood, sweat, and tears. It was tough. Ashley knows. She helped me.
Yeah.
She helped me.
Hello, where are you?
She's my DON. So she sees a lot of the hard work we actually work together.
Right. It's a team.
Yeah, it's a team. But it's hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
Now I have a good team.
Yeah.
And so now I can really, take the back seat. But it was tough in the beginning.
She rocked it out.
Yeah. And what it showcases too is like how many different ways, like you said earlier, you can go into these fields. And if it gets too stressful for you, if it becomes overwhelming, there's other avenues. And a lot of people, for a lot of jobs, it's one way in and one way out. You know what I'm saying? And there's no extra career paths to go that way. So for you ladies, I just want to say thank you so much for coming in, taking a second to explain to me how this life looks. Even in your scrubs, y'all look good. Faces is beat. I love you both. Thank you to my girl Ashley, and thank you to my girl Brittany.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast has been made possible by Colorado Connected and the Women's Foundation of Colorado.
Hey, thanks for watching and listening to the Black Millennial Mom Podcast, Season 2. If you are anything like me, you like to stay up to date on what's going on and seeing what's happening around me, find me on your favorite social media site, Instagram, Facebook, even Threads. Look for @YourGirlSadies. Wait.